Alright, in this Studebaker update, it's kind of a hodgepodge of things. Headers, part of the floor, part of the roll cage. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but we were planning on, the roll cage we originally had in the car was just the hoop and the halo and all of that stuff. It wasn't a SFI cage. It was going to be good down to 850 at 150 miles an hour. But I think the car might run quicker than that, so better safe than sorry. I'm putting in the SFI spec cage, which you have to pay for the booklet to get all the information you need to build the cage. So that's what we're doing. We're going by the booklet, and so the car will be able to run a lot quicker than 850s at 150 for NHRA competition use. At any NHRA track, it'll be legal, and the cage will be certified when we're done. I've already had the NHRA Division 5 director over, or not the director, but the tech inspector over here. So we've been getting approval kind of as we go along, make sure we're doing it right. We've never built a cage like this, so it's kind of a learning curve. And also in a car like this, you got to think 2-3 steps ahead of what you're doing, so your placement of things is right. It's actually got us in trouble in a couple areas where we've kind of had to go back and redo things or work around things that we'd never intended to. So if you're doing a car like this, consider that when you're building it. Think way ahead. What's got to go here and what's got to go here. It'll get, like I said, it'll get you in trouble if you don't think that way. And it's got us kind of a couple times. Nothing too bad we couldn't work around. But if we would have thought ahead quicker, it definitely would have been beneficial. And as the build goes on, I'm getting better at thinking stuff through like that. But anyways, take a look at the build. Project for the last couple of days was getting this lower piece of the chassis put in. It'll clear the drive shaft hump. First one we made didn't turn out right, and this one here turned out pretty good, so fit really close. And then we'll have to take this bar here and drop it down a little bit for the SFI spec, and then run a bar between that and that. So. Alright, we've been working on the roll cage since I got to have a funny car style cage in this thing. I think it's a 25.4, don't quote me on that. I don't have the paperwork in front of me. So we got to add in this bar. We took out this bar that was going across here and dropped it down to meet the spec. And we put these in here. These are still loose in there, and this is just held up by a clamp. We packed our tubes full of sand and used the bender on it. That's how we got this curve. It'll clear the tunnel for the drive shaft hump. And then this is our upper halo. We bent this out of 1 5/8 tubing. It's actually an 1/8 inch bigger than NHRA requires, but it'll still work just fine. So we made this made it first out of a piece of conduit, and then transferred over this metal here. Let's see, this is alright, it goes in up there, and then down there. There's that piece. And then we have these here. We have 2 of these. I'm going to go right in here. I'm going to go right in here. Put back the funny car cage. And then we'll still have to put the tubes down here and then all around. We're getting ready to tack these in next so we can kind of see where we're at.
There's the front of the bar.
Good. We've got some more work done on the funny car cage. We got the shoulder hoop mostly put in. This piece here is still loose. We'll put it in probably tomorrow. So that's what we did today. Worked on that piece, and that piece. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get that little piece welded in and then work on a couple of helmet bars. And the funny car portion of the cage should be done. Finally got the rest of the inboard part of the funny car cage done. Got the helmet bars in, top and side. Got all those other bars in. The next bar we need to make will come from here and then go down to the door bar, which is not welded in yet. Then we got our header pipes back from the welder. TIG welded up all of our joints where we had tack welded them. Beautiful TIG welding job there. Several oscillations per inch. About an 1/8 inch wide bead. So we got those sitting back on the car. And then this side here we went ahead and tack welded them each together. And then we're going to give them back to him so he can weld up each joint and then put the star in underneath there. Seal them off. And then we also have EGT bungs there. Let's see. Gonna have him weld those all on so we can keep track of the exhaust gas temperatures in this thing. Okay, we're welding on this, or cutting out the rest of the funny car cage portion to satisfy the 25.4B. We had to make the door bars X now, and this is made out of 1 1/4 chromoly. So we have those made, and then this here will sit right in there like that. This bar here, right in there, and then that one there, and then we'll still have to put 1 helmet bar from here to there when we're ready to weld this in. Alright, we are heating the collectors to try and form them better to the headers. We tack welded them on and they started popping off, so that's what we're in the process of doing. We gave up on getting the headers, the collectors to fit right without the clamps on it. We heated them up in the last shot and started to loosen up one of the clamps, and one of the tacks broke fairly quickly, so we just put the clamps back on and re-tack welded it, and we're going to send it to our guy, have him heliarc it as much as he can, and then pull the clamps back off and finish heliarcing it. We also got the V-bands here. We tacked them on the inside to hold them in the position we wanted for him, and then he will weld around them on the outside here, and we put the both flanges on it together to keep it the same so it won't warp. It looks like we're going backwards on the car, but we're really not. Took the engine, block up engine, tranny, firewall, front floorboards, got those out. We tacked these here in place for the motor mounts on both sides, and then this bar here we made up for a template for the dash bar that'll go right in there, so we know how to cut it the first time instead of making a mistake and then cutting it. So we finished up making the dash bar and we got it tacked in. Come out real good. All the fitments worked out. Gonna hang the brake pedal off of it eventually. We got our header back today from getting the collector and the V-band welded on it. Came out real good. The only problem we had is it pulled the pipes a little bit. I think when we put studs in the heads we'll be able to make them fit. And then we cut the edge around the firewall. Cut that off. Still got to do a little bit of grinding on it. Mostly on the driver's side. Get that fit, and then we'll try and get the floorboards fit and get a tranny tunnel sitting in it. And then over there, we worked on getting the other collector clamped on, tacked, so it'll go to the welders and get done. Hopefully we'll be done with the headers this week. Ground a little more where the firewall meets the side of the body. Still might need to go just a little bit more. Put the mid plate back in. We've been working on figuring out the floorboards. Used a few Clecos on it to hold the floor in place both sides, and kind of working on the tranny tunnel. I'm not sure I like how it is. Might end up making it a little bit different, but we'll see where we go. Not sure if I like how it turned out. So I might scrap that piece and make another one. Alright, today is Saturday, March 5th, 2016. We're kind of deviating from the plan we had last of working on the tranny tunnel. Now we need to get the floor supports in for the toe boards and then build a structure around the tranny first before we worry about building the tranny tunnel. And we're going to be using this size metal here for this floor support. It's 3/4 by 1.5, I believe. That'll go into the toe boards there. And then right now we're working on brackets that will come out from here and support this metal with a spacer on top of it. And that's what we're working on now. I'll show you. These are the brackets we just made up out of some 1x2 tubing. Just cut them diagonally. Give a little angle there, look like miniature frame mounts. And then welded on nuts for the inside will be blind hole. And next we're going to weld pieces of flat stock from here up and around the edge to give it a little more strength. And then we'll put 1-inch diameter hole there with the hole saw. Yeah, we're getting ready to put the flat stock on now, and I'll show you what that looks like after we get that on. Alright, we got one welded on right here. He is welding another one on right now. Alright, here is our final product for the floorboard support braces that'll weld to the frame. Got those pieces of flat stock welded in, ground down. Have a drain hole here, lightning hole or beautification hole. Ground them all down, and if this were the frame, they'll just go like that on the frame. They'll have a spacer up here, and then the floorboard supports on top of that. So that is where we are at. Alright, what we're welding here is the floor support. The section there you see that he's welding in is extra support where it goes around the roll cage. The way the body mounts were, we couldn't run a straight tube across. And we still want to be able to get the body off with at least the toe boards stuck in it. So this is what we came up with after one failed attempt. Show them our failed attempt back there. This just wasn't enough. There was no real support back there, even though we did weld a piece of tubing in it. And only 1/4 of it would stick out past where we could weld the other floorboard on. And we'd rather have it divided up halfway, so we welded a piece of 3/4 inch square tube on it, and then cut at an angle to fancy it up, plugged the ends of it, and then used a 2-inch hole saw to cut out a hole in it, and then used a 2-inch piece of pipe with about 1/8 inch wall for the extra support, and that's what he's welding in now. Alright, here's the piece we got made up. I'll show you what it looks like on top of the floorboards. It'll fit in like that, except it'll go under here. We'll weld to this. Alright, and these brackets we made earlier today, we'll weld to the frame here, level at the top, and we'll put like a nylon spacer here to keep the floor where we want it. So it'll be a spacer right here, weld this floor, plug weld it to it, and then we'll be able to overlap the other floor right up on top of this and plug weld the other floor to it. So we'll have plenty of room to weld it and give us some strength, and we'll weld it down here to the door sills as well. So this thing should not go anywhere. We'll cut this back a little bit more and weld a hump over here for the tunnel to form to. So at least we finally have it figured out. It took a couple days to get nailed down what we're going to do, but this looks like it'll be the best thing to do. So that's what we're sticking with. Now we're doing here, we're Zeus fastening the floorboard to the support bar we made. We mark this bar so it'll stay parallel all the way along. Zeus fastened the floorboards to it, so know where it's going to be positioned. It'll stay positioned. Put a spacer under here, and then we can put one of our brackets under there. I know where it's going to line up with. So that's what we're doing now. Alright, these are our final toe board floor supports. A couple decent sized drain holes, plug the end of it where the training tunnel end is on both of them, and then cut out to go around the roll cage. We ended up getting these floor supports welded in, and I made a nylon spacer where that bolt will go through and bolt down to it. From the floor we'll put a like a flathead bolt on it, button head, and then over here do the same thing. Got it tacked in over there, and we got it tacked in down there. You can see it come out pretty level, 0.1 degree. Well, that is going to do it for this update. Hopefully I can get some more knocked out. I'm way behind on updates. The car is further along than what this is showing now, so I need to really get caught up quick. So maybe I can start getting one out every week or 2 weeks. It just takes time to edit with doing everything. But anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, please like and subscribe.